Cafe Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Well, I didn't expect to see you here at Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Today we haven't been here in a while.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
In Podcastro Valley, did you enjoy Juneteenth? It was quite something to see in Oakland, Lake Merritt, that area. It was lots of music and cars, and I was there. So
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I was stuck in the traffic, and it was colorful. It was amazing. It was yesterday.
Mike's
And now
Daily
I think it will become
Podcast.
like a big holiday.
Yeah.
A national holiday. A day we may get off at some point. We'll see. But it was definitely very festive in Oakland yesterday. Lots of music. I remember it was interesting because I was driving by. Everybody's got their cars blasting music. This one van was playing Prince, Sign of the Times. Okay, you know your Little Red Corvette and 1999 and When Doves Cry and I Would Die For You, all those great Prince songs. But do you know Sign of the Times? That was big. Gosh, I'd been in radio for just a couple years. I was working at Y97 Santa Barbara's Hot FM back in like 87, 88. And I remember we were playing that song then. And it was a bizarre song because it wasn't the typical dancey Prince song. It had this cool little groove going on, but it was very about the things happening socially that were, troubling, like drug abuse and that sort of thing. So it was, so the guy blasting that song, I was like, yeah, awesome. And plus there was like live bands going on. Not any social distancing. I saw very few masks. This was around Lake Merritt, so.
And here's today's podcast picture.
I got in the car, went over to the Piedmont area, a couple miles away from Lake Merritt in Oakland, and that was a completely different story. Hardly anybody there. People wearing masks everywhere. So that was an interesting day yesterday. And I hope you celebrated in some way. If you did, please let me know. 336MM Daily. 336, as in 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM as in Mike Matthews Daily, as in with this podcast. We'll try continuing to be. Hello, Basil. Hey. Yes. I agree, Basil. Yes, I should continue on with the podcast in some way. How about we do a picture, Basil, that you and you are implied in. It is from 4 years ago. We took this wonderful walk in the Richmond Bay area, Richmond Marina Bay. And we were over by, let's see, it's called Bubbaloo Coffee now? Huh. Yeah, it's a beautiful area, the Richmond Marina. And we walked all the way from Point Isabel, which is this dog park that's further south from Richmond Marina. We walked all the way from there 4 years ago to the Rosie the Riveter, Lucretia Edwards Shoreline Park, and then Richmond Ferry Terminal? Oh, that's right there. Interesting. And the Rosie the Riveter National Historical Park, which is temporarily closed, unfortunately. But an amazing building with lots of history. What a walk. And I'm sad now Basil can't walk anymore, that we didn't do that walk more often. It was a long walk, and, well, let's just say maybe it was only a once-in-a-lifetime type walk, but maybe someday I'll do it again in honor of Basil, who's still with us and still happy and still eating. And good gosh, he took a chunk out of the chicken I was eating yesterday. Wow. He loves the Costco chicken still. So you might be asking, Mike, what is this podcast about? And Mike will say, I don't know. I mean, we do a little bit of the health news. We do a little bit of the news. I try and make sense of this world coming from a early 50s white dude. Yes, there's a gazillion of us. Like, you need another perspective from one of us. But still, let's just say I'm a generally positive fella. And I try to keep in a positive bubble. My dad, in fact, said that to me once. I'll never forget. My dad has been gone now for about 15 years. And I remember he said to me, you're living in a bubble, your happy little bubble. But there's other stuff going on in the world. And I'm like, yeah, I know, Dad, I know. And yes, reality, well, as the police said, and it's funny that I process this sort of thing through a Police song, because I'm all about music. In fact, I'm on the radio tomorrow on kkdv.com. Listen to me. I'll be on from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time, and there's a link at MikesDailyPodcast.com. But the Police had a song called Truth Hits Everybody. Truth hits everybody. Truth hits everyone, off of their first album, Zenyatta Mondata. And it's true. It does. You can't avoid reality. It hits you. It's how you process the reality. Whether you freak out and can't get anything done, or you push yourself and do it and get it done. I think as humans, looking at my dog, he has adapted to, unfortunately, how his body has deteriorated. And he has made it to quite an old age for a boxer. But he can't walk anymore. But he's happy in that he can sleep all day. He gets fed. He has me and my lovely lady friend petting him. Oh, by the way, shout out to my lovely lady friend's boss, Rita. She listened to the show the other day and said, I heard you talk about your lovely lady friend. And yes, she's sometimes on the show, my lovely lady friend. And I can't tell you off the top of my head when she was last on. Unfortunately, my website does not make it that easy to find past episodes where she's been on. Shoot. I know it was a couple weeks ago. But the podcast picture today, which you will see at the website, I will tell you, is designed to show you those podcast pictures in full blazing color across your monitor, your computer monitor screen, or your cell phone screen. And yes, it is from the Richmond Marina 4 years ago. But yes, go to MikesDailyPodcast.com, I guess is what I am saying. But I'm also saying, look, I listen to this podcast sometimes. I'll review it and go, okay, where do I need to change? What do I need to do? And then I go, wait a minute. The whole reason why I do a podcast is because I do it the way I do it. I am an operations manager for a radio station, and those for 3 stations, actually. And those stations have to sound a specific way. And there are people that host shows, they want their shows to sound a specific way. And there's just a way of doing it. And I do it. I can do it that way. I can do it this way. I've done a myriad of formats on the radio. But when it comes to this podcast, the format is me. I do it me. So if any of you that know me from the radio professional world are listening to this going, what the heck is going on? This isn't talk radio. No, it's not. It's me talking. Is it on the radio? No. It's being played through your speakers somehow off the internet. And yes, when you go to my website, it says Mike Matthews and his daily radio show. Well, that's for lack of a better term. It's what I do. I do it daily. And I do it as if you were listening to the radio. You've got your birds chirping in the background. You've got your sounds from Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcaster Valleyton today, the last place on earth. And that's all I know, because it's what I've been doing since 86. I've been doing radio. I've been podcasting since 2009. And that's pretty much all I have to say, is that it's me. It's Mike. What's the format? What's this show about? This show is about me, and it always has been. And it's Mike Matthews. Okay. Here's the thing I would like to tell you, though, because this is a show about me. And I think when you do a podcast, because I know you want to do one, you should approach it from the angle of this show is about me. Do not even care. Okay, when I do radio, I have to care about the audience. That's true. But when I do a podcast, and when you do a podcast, you should do it through your eyes and do it about you. Do it from your perspective. Do what makes you feel good. You can do that. It's podcasting. It's a completely open world. It's unregulated. It only gets regulated when you start playing music that belongs to other people. That became a thing about 5, 6, 7 years ago, where the stupid record companies and record labels and the people that own the rights to the songs, the songwriters and everything, they went after people like you and me and said, oh, you can't play our song. But you know what? All right, that's fine. Whatever. Even though you got millions of dollars. Actually, I should look at it from the point of view of the struggling songwriter. Okay, they need their money. I get it. But you don't need that. You don't need to play anybody's music. You be you. You be yourself. You play your own music. You sing your own song. You do your thing. That's what podcasting is. Podcasting is completely wide open. And it's sad that the only ones that are making money off of this are the Joe Rogans, are the gamers that talk about, oh my gosh, can you be more boring? You're basically just talking about something somebody else created, and you apparently excel at knowing how to do. Good for you, whoop-de-doy. You know what? I can't remember a single person that excelled playing Pac-Man or Ms. Pac-Man or pinball or anything. There was maybe, I do, Tommy from The Who. He was good at pinball. He was a pinball wizard. He got to take that. It's a pinball wizard. Such a supple wrist. Who cares? It's all about you, my friend. What is it you like to do? But you know what? See, this is what traps people. This is why people can't podcast. And I have been saying since the very first podcast that I did is I love podcasting because it opens it up. It opens it up. It makes anyone can do this. Anyone can say anything. And unfortunately now we've got podcast. Everything's got to fit into a category. What's your podcast about? Do you talk about gaming? Do you talk about sports? Do you talk about health? Do you talk about news? Do you talk about politics? Are you an educator? Are you comedy? Are you a comedian? Are you funny? Are you going to make me laugh? It's all about needs and services. Like I turn on a light switch, I expect to get light. And this is the point of view that program directors take with radio. They go, all right, I want to get this audience here, this 35 to 54, or 25 to 55, 57. Hi, I'm in radio. I don't know the demographics anymore. They want a specific audience. I want females this age, whatever. So they've done the research and they know that music that from this era to this era appeals to that type of listener. So that's why you hear so many stations playing exactly the same thing all over. But podcasting has nothing to do with that. I guess if you want to make money, but then you know what? You've got a boring podcast to me, my friend. Your podcast is nothing. It's like everybody else. And why the Joe Rogans? Oh, and I talked to Rob Black, his show's about money and other things. He puts a lot of his personality into it. I've produced his show. I've been producing a show all week. And he and I were talking about Joe Rogan, and we just can't figure it out. And I talked to my lovely lady friend about it, and it's just his name is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Everyone knows his name now in podcasting. And it's all because of stand-up. It's because of Fear Factor. It's because of the fighting thing he does, the fighting sports world deal and all that. And he's just this man's man. And so now he rules the podcasting world. Okay. I've tried listening to a show. I go, wait, this goes on for another hour? No. At least my podcast, my ramblings, my I don't know what this is don't last too long. And then they're done. So, I hope your Juneteenth was good. I hope you got to have fun and, you were safe. Here's the thing. Last night, after the Juneteenth celebration I went home with my lovely lady friend. We watched an episode of Psych. We've been watching a lot of that lately. With Dule Hill and... I can't think of the other guy's name that plays Sean Spencer. I know his character's name. Corbin Burnson's in this. And in it... they often reference 80s groups. They love Tears for Fears. They were talking about them last night. Kurt Smith of Tears for Fears has been on the show on Psych. And we were watching it on Amazon Prime. And there's a part at the end where Sean and Gus, the two leads of the show, are performing on an American Idol type show. And, interesting side note, the guy that plays Lassiter on Psych had a stroke. I talked about that on a recent show. He's recovering. In fact, the next Psych movie, they still make Psych movies that are made for TV, is going to feature that actor that played Timothy... I can't think of his last name. Timothy something. He plays Lassiter, and he's coming back for the next movie. Joel McHale of Community will play his father when they go back, like they showed Lassiter as a young kid type thing. And Community is another show that I've been watching and have enjoyed because I didn't watch it when it first came out. And then you've got... So in this episode last night, there was also Tim Curry, and Tim Curry had a stroke. I don't think he's recovered, though, as well as the guy that plays Lassiter. But that's something to watch out for in your world, especially in your 50s, like myself. I'm very aware of that, you got to watch what you eat. And yes, some of it is genetic, but, listen to your doctor, follow the guidelines to help you avoid strokes, because it can happen to just about anybody past their 40s, it seems. So, but the episode also featured them singing the song Shout by Tears for Fears. So after that, my lovely lady friend and I were talking about Tears for Fears, and I start showing her all these Tears for Fears songs in their videos, like for Mad Mad World and Mama's Talk. We were looking at some concert footage. I showed her, later Tears for Fears turned into just Roland Orzabal, and that era... He had a hit with Break It Down Again. And then that turned into us talking about Bronski Beat and that song Small Town. Is it Small Town Boy? Somebody took that song that goes dun 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 and mashed it up with Adele doing her song Rolling in the Deep, dun 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 dun, there's a fire burning in my heart, dun 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 dun. It's like that chord progression is found in so many songs. Eye of the Tiger, it's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight, it's the fire, the same, like that chord progression. They also, who else was in that? Katy Perry, right? Because baby, you're a firework. Have you ever felt like a precious air? Baby, you're... Find that on YouTube somewhere so I don't have to sing the rest of that. So it was a total Tears for Fears Bronski Beat marathon. Jimmy Somerville, there's a cool interview with him where he talks about he's gay and talks about how in England there's a lot of people from Eastern Europe that are very religious, that have a negative stance on people who are gay. And he said that he often feels very, I guess for lack of a better term, he puts them in a stereotype. And so he'll avoid them, but he's like, wait a minute, maybe I'm doing to them what they're doing to me. And then he says, no, wait a minute, England's come a long way to help people who are gay and to, and Pride, and this month celebrates Pride. And it's a fascinating conversation with Jimmy Somerville. You can find that. I think it's a Dutch music channel. I think they call it Top 2000 or something. And that's on YouTube. If you just type in Jimmy Somerville on YouTube, you get that video. I think, or is it just me that gets that video? No, I think it's all YouTube channels. But it's skewed. It's what you have watched previously on YouTube that dictates what YouTube will bring up for you. Just like the internet, like on the Google and the Bing. But yes, here's one last question to leave you with. How on earth in this world where in the Bay Area where restaurants are no longer open just for takeout and you can't use their restroom, if you're just walking around, taking a walk, checking out some downtown area, there is nowhere to use the restrooms. There are no restrooms anymore. I had to find a restroom, thankfully, in the back of a Safeway. There was a sign that said, and you had to go through those rubber door things that make you feel like you're an employee, that you got to go back there and grab some more rolls and bring them out. Some more Snapples, I don't know, whatever products they're selling. Thankfully, they let me use their restroom. But dang, there's nowhere to go. I'm not going to use a tree. I'm a little more civil. If I was out in the forest, maybe, but not walking around Piedmont. And it's in the name. So that's pretty much... Did that make any sense? Look who's outside a cafe anyway. Hello, Michael Marsh, it's Madame Rootabega. And yes, we all need the restrooms. Oh, that's right. Did they shut down the restrooms because they're afraid people are stealing toilet paper? Toilet paper's back. Everywhere I've gone, it seems like the toilet paper's back. Yes, Mike Matthews, that's very good. Oh! Did you enjoy Juneteenth? Yes. Did you enjoy all the Tears for Fears songs that I was mentioning? Yes. Do you enjoy me asking these questions? No. And look who else is here. Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant. And it's Bison Bentley. Do you know that? Mike, that's great that you had a great and exciting Friday day. Yeah, Friday. Do you know that? Thanks, guys. So enjoy your weekend and listen to the show tomorrow on kkdv.com and enjoy. Try doing a podcast. Try doing something. Put it up there. Joe Rogan will never let anyone listen to your podcast, but do it yourself. Do it. And you know what? Do me a favor, and I'm going to try and mention this every podcast in some way. Please listen to the podcasts that are not being forced down your throat by every podcast app. They always show all the NPR stuff. They always show the Slate, the ESPN, the Fox, the Joe Rogan Network, whatever, the Nerdist, the Earwolf, all those ones that just shove the same shows down your throat. Look for the independent ones. Look for the ones that don't have any listeners. You go to some of my YouTube videos that are just the show. It doesn't have video of me, thank God. And they're no listens. No listens. Go to the ones out there like me that don't even have anybody. I maybe have 10 listeners. Maybe they have 0. Help them out. Listen to their shows. And then and give them feedback. If you think it's not working or if they need a little advice, be nice, and give them some advice. Open it up, my friend. Open your mind, open your mouth, open your laptop and type a little letter to them, a little comment, and help them out. We need more voices, everybody. There's a lot of voices. There's a lot of free speech. There needs to be more. Always needs to be more. Even more than 10 years after I began starting to podcast, I'm and advocating for people to speak their minds. There needs to be more. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer. And thank you for listening. And that was episode 2067.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!